Everyone, this is Dr. N. Bavitra, Assistant Professor, the Research Center of English, Fatima College. Today we'll see John Dryden and Neoclassical criticism. To begin with, he's a dramatist, translator, critic, and first poet laureate. Samuel Johnson calls him the father of English criticism, and T.S. Eliot calls him the first master of English criticism. So he can be called as a prefatory man because one can find his criticism in his prefaces. He has written a lot of prefaces to the plays in a dialogue form. So his motive of writing criticism is to please the audience. His important work is of dramatic poesy, and it is written in such a way that four literary people, figures, are having a very good conversation over the trends of literary trends in general. So it's a dialogue between Eugenius, Critus, Lycidas, and Leander. Eugenius is Charles Lord Buckhurst, who has he doesn't have any strict views regarding any kind of literature or the writings, and Critus is Robert Howard, who supports neoclassicism, and Lycidas is Charles Sedley. He has an empirical view, and Neander is Dryden himself, and he supports the Aristotelian tradition. So all the four agree to measure progress by comparing ancient arts with modern arts in the work, especially in the art of drama. So the dramatic poesy deals with the merits and demerits of four elements. The one is whether the ancient writers are good at writing the plays, or the moderns like the contemporaries of John Dryden, or whether the contemporaries are good at conveying the emotions through dramas, or the Elizabethans are the best of the best in delivering all those things through drama. And they have a debate over whether the French playwrights are good at drama or the English playwrights. And they also talk about application of verses to the drama, whether the blank verses is good at applying while writing a drama, or the heroic verses. So in a way, the dramatic poesy defends the honor of English writers against those who prefer French writers. As a critic, he favors tragic comedy and rejects the addiction of unities. He appreciates the Elizabethan drama and willing to accommodate the contemporary theatre practices which violates Aristotelian norms. He also upholds the traditional view regarding the ultimate end of the literature. To him, the ultimate end of literature is to teach and delight. It has to have it should provide pleasure, as well as it should instruct the audience. So he uses the classical work as gauging parameters to judge the work of art. He takes a historical point of view in judging a work of art, but he cannot be called as a relativist. Let's see the definition for the play given by John Dryden. To him, a play has to be very just and lively image of human nature, representing its passion and humors and changes of fortune, and to which it delight and instruct the mankind. Eliot is of the opinion that Dryden is not interested in creative theory, but concentrates on language and style of the poet. That is, he never proposes any theory of his own, unlike Plato and Aristotle, but he analyzes the theories which is already available to him. And he has his own very good esteem about Shakespeare and Chaucer, and we'll see it in the next slide. According to him, Shakespeare is Homer of English literature, and he calls him as the father of dramatic poet. And he calls Ben Jonson as Virgil, and he prizes his ability to write in an elaborate manner. And he even calls Chaucer the father of English poetry. One can see Aristotle, Horace, and Longinus as one can see the influence of all these people in Dryden's writing. And he has no opinion. He hasn't given any voice. He hasn't given any opinion on violation of three unities in drama, or supporting the three unities, but it is Samuel Johnson who finalized the view on violation of three unities. So he cannot be called as a dogmatic critic in view on rules of dramatic art. He appeals to common sense. If he feels that it is okay to violate certain rules, yes, he says yes to it. And if it has to be that one has to follow any rule in order to bring the drama in a beautiful manner, he accepts it. So he appeals to the common sense. And one can see a variety of views in his criticism, but he never gives any antithetical concept while arguing. And his criticism are written in a dialogue form. And now let's move on to his greatness and weakness. He has written The Rival Ladies in 1664, and it is in a form of letters, that is, a dedicatory epistles. From there onwards, he started presenting criticism. So, in a way, he writes criticism in one way or other, but according to him, he is a first rate poet and accidentally a critic. And Dr. Johnson calls him the father of English criticism because he was able to bring the criticism from the churches to the coffee houses. That is, only those religious people and the elite talked about criticism, but it is John Dryden who helped the common man to think about the critical aspects of any work of art. So he brings criticism to the arena of common man. And he's ancient in terms of following diction and the language of poetry, and he never contradicts his views. Let's move on to the weakness. His strength remains a weakness because he observes a traditional viewpoint in judging any work of art. It may not be applicable to the contemporary scenario, and his inconsistencies while arguing and lack of concreteness can be seen. So these two characters brings a vagueness to the argument. So these are all the weakness one can find in his writing. And apart from being a poet, playwright, and a critic, he is also a translator. He attempted to translate Virgil Aeneid, but it is an incomplete attempt. But he has a very good opinion about his own opinion about translation. As a translator, the duty of translator is to convey the substance and spirit, the tone and tenor of the original composition to the modern audience. So the translator should not compromise the beauty of the writing, and he doesn't have to do a metaphrase, that is, doing a word for word translation. He also attempted to write Ovid. He also attempted to translate Ovid's epistles. So these are all the things that we need to keep in mind. So to conclude, his doctrines helps the readers to appreciate the beauty of literature, and it helps to understand the so far vaguely valued work of art in an efficient manner. Thank you.